Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dhammam saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Sangham saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi saṅgham saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi saṅgham saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Pāṇātipātā vīramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi. Adinādānā vīramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi. Abrahmacharya vīramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi. Musāvādā vīramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi. Suramire majjapama daṭṭhāna vīramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi. Vikkāla bhojana vīramani sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi. Naca gīta vādita Visuka dasana mala ගන්ධ විලේපන ධාරණ මණ්ඩල විභූෂණත්ථානා වීරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි උච්චාසයන මහාසයන වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි සරණේන සද්දින් අට්ඨාංග සීලං ධම්මං සාදුකං සුරක්ඛිතං කତ୍වා අප්පමාදේන සම්පාදේ තබ්බං Okay. Today I thought of bringing your attention to a couple of factors about placing your attention or having mindfulness. Why we should have mindfulness diligently. And Buddha says it's actually for one's own sake, not for anyone's sake, that you must develop this for your own sake. Now read what the Buddha says, his own words. This is in Anguttara Nikaya in chapter 4, Sutta 117. So the name of this sutta is called For One's Own Sake. For one's own sake, O monks, diligent mindfulness should be made the mind's guard, and this for 4 reasons. So he tells you why. May my mind not harbor lust for anything inducing lust. For this reason, diligent mindfulness should be made the mind's guard for one's own sake. May my mind not harbor hatred towards anything inducing hatred. For this reason, diligent mindfulness should be made the mind's guard for one's own sake. May my mind not harbor delusion concerning anything inducing delusion. For this reason, diligent mindfulness should be made the mind's guard for one's own sake. May my mind not be infatuated by anything inducing infatuation. For this reason, diligent mindfulness should be made the mind's guard for one's own sake. When, monks, a monk's mind does not harbor lust for lust-inducing objects, because he is free from lust. When his mind does not harbor hatred towards hate-inducing objects, because he is free from hatred. When his mind does not harbor delusion concerning things inducing delusion, because he is free from delusion. And when his mind is not infatuated by anything inducing infatuation, because he is free from infatuation, then such a monk will not waver, shake or tremble. He will not succumb to fear, nor will he adapt the views of the other ascetics. So you can see why it's important for you all to practice mindfulness diligently. So it's for your own sake, not for the Buddha's sake or for my sake or to anyone else's sake. For your own sake, to save your own mind. Now, you know the importance of developing the mindfulness, and we are trying hard, but sometimes it's difficult for you all. I can see that it slips. Why is that? Why can't we develop the mindfulness, even though now we want to, but still we can't have it 100% all the time? Why is that? Then Buddha speaks about that. So let me take you to that sutta, because I think it's good for you all to know what Buddha says directly, so you can see the importance of them. This is in the sutta in chapter 10, sutta number 61 and 62 together. It's combined in here. It's called the ignorance and craving. And here Buddha is actually talking about the nutrient for something to give rise to, and he's trying to pinpoint that avijja didn't happen just like that without a cause. Even that has a nutrient for that to take place. So he actually gives this very long sutta. He explains it in a very clear manner, but I'm going to take part of it first to directly address the problem that you're facing now. Now, if you have lack of mindfulness, so now here Buddha is saying, lack of mindfulness and clear comprehension too has its nutriment. It is not without a nutriment. And what is the nutriment of the lack of mindfulness and clear comprehension? What do you think? It's improper attention should be the answer. Improper attention too has its nutriment. It is not without a nutriment. And what is the nutriment of improper attention? You may not think of this, but this becomes very important, very crucial. It's lack of faith. Now you can see what it's boiling down to. It's called lack of faith. Buddha says should be the answer. And then Buddha says lack of faith too has its nutriment. It is not without a nutriment. And what is the nutriment of the lack of faith? Buddha says listening to wrong teachings should be the answer. Not having been able to listen to the true Dhamma, the proper teachings, that leads to have no faith. And listening to wrong teachings too has its nutriment. How did that come to be? It is not without a nutrient, Buddha says. And what is the nutriment of listening to wrong teachings? Association with bad people should be the answer. That means you haven't come across associating with the right people, the Kalyana Mittas. So this is why in another place, when Buddha is talking about the Kalyana Mittas associating with the wise, Venerable Ananda says, oh okay Bhante, I understand. It's like 50% of our path is depending on this Kalyana Mittas or the noble friends, isn't it? And Buddha says, don't say so, Ananda, don't say so. And Buddha says it's 100% your path is depending on these Kalyana Mittas. They have an influence on you from the beginning, getting you into the right track, and from there until you become an Arahant. So you can see the importance. So that's where your path begins, associating with the right people, with the wise, virtuous and the wise, and then hearing the Dhamma, proper Dhamma, and then being able to establish your faith. That will help you to walk the rest. The rest is then up to you. You have to do the rest. Establishing your mindfulness and whatever you have to do after that, keeping your sila and all that, you have to do. But there is something that you yourself can't do. That is, you have to listen to the Dhamma, hear the Dhamma from somewhere else, because you got no knowledge of it. So that's why you need this noble friend. And then, when you hear the right Dhamma, naturally it actually helps you to have saddha. That gets established. And you know there is this 5 powers that we were talking. What was it? It was in the trainees 5 powers and also the 5 powers. Even for the person who have finished their training, they are now heading towards a higher training. Still saddha is the first factor. If you don't have that, the path is not going to be that clear. If the path is not that clear, if you don't know what you're doing, well, you won't get anywhere. It's very clear. So, in one place actually Buddha talks about faith as, what is faith? And Buddha points out that faith is, as long as faith exists in wholesome qualities, then what is unwholesome will not gain entry. So you do need to know it even in that kind of angle. And Buddha has pointed out the faith, saddha. As long as faith exists in wholesome qualities, so you must, this is why actually it's only Bhante Punnaji I have seen actually taken this part and highlighted that saddha is not just faith in the Buddha, it's actually your ability to recognize the goodness, ability to recognize the wisdom as something valuable, and your ability to hold them up high. Saddha means, dharanava means keeping, the ability to keep the goodness and wisdom in you. Hold it up high and to keep it with you. That's saddha. So, how come this Buddha comes into this place? That's because where do you have the most goodness and wisdom that you can see on earth? In the Buddha. When we talk about a Buddha, it's not the physical body or just a normal person we are talking about. If we are to analyze about someone, normally we talk about their qualities, isn't it? So and so is good because blah blah blah. So and so is bad because blah blah blah, because of this behavior, this kind of speech. They have jealousy, they are stingy, they get very angry, they are very rough. Like that you explain or you kind of analyze the character of a person and you say they are good or bad or whatever. But when it comes to Buddha, if you study the character of the Buddha, the time that he spent on earth during his ministry for 45 years, more you know about Buddha, more you will get to know that there's not a single point or single event that has taken place that you can finger point or pinpoint at him and say he was wrong, he was displaying unwholesome quality, he is being unwise. Not a single character in his quality. So he has perfected his goodness and wisdom to the level there's no more trace of even a trace of a defilement. The whole world is going with greed, developing their desires, going after desires, being greedy, developing their hatred, developing their delusion, not knowing what they are doing. But Buddha has stepped out of it. So you all must be able to recognize that ability that was in the Buddha, that he managed to escape this unwholesome, the dangers, whatever that was trapping the people to the samsara, to be unhappy, to suffer. He has managed to free himself from all that. He has brought all the suffering to an end in himself by developing his goodness and wisdom to the perfect level.
What about the arahants? Do they also have all those qualities, or they something?
No, they haven't perfected. Buddha had perfected his goodness and wisdom to the maximum level. Arahats has worked to the level that they have get rid of their defilements, and they have managed to bring up the wisdom to the extent to see the how things arise and how things pass away. Or in normal way we talk, to see things as they are. They have the understanding, but they haven't understood everything. But Buddha did, because he hit the highest point in evolution where he knew everything. There was nothing that he didn't know. And when we talk about Buddha's wisdom, or in our normal way, if we talk about today, we talk about intelligence. Yeah, there's no one who has the same kind of the IQ to talk in that way. So when we establish this saddha, so Buddha becomes our kind of the focus or our ideal. Because when you appreciate goodness and wisdom, you want to develop it. And who is your ideal? The mentor is your Buddha, because you see it in him. And this is why we pay respect to the Buddha, not for anything else. Normally people go and pay respect if someone is higher, if they have power, if they have money, if they are beautiful, whatever you want. If you don't have, someone has it, you go and pay a lot of respect. No? Especially to the money, to the power and to the fame. Without knowing, or with knowing, you do. But here we respect the Buddha for not for any of those reasons. We are humbling ourselves in front of this giant, really, with a lot of respect, who have perfected the goodness and wisdom that no one can even go near. So who are we really? So realizing that, recognizing that, what we do by bowing down is actually we putting our ego down to the lowest level as you can do. This is why we touch our forehead to the ground. We lower our forehead to the ground, touching the ground. So that's the lowest point you can bow down, to bring your ego down. And you're recognizing, who Buddha is and who am I. And then you look up to him after you're putting down your ego, after recognizing I'm no one near him. I'm a little baby and I'm trying to get there. And you look up to him for guidance. But now you can take that guidance because you're getting up not with your ego but being inspired about his goodness and wisdom and wanting that. And you look at him, his peaceful radiance, that radiance that coming from his eyes, the most loving, kind, or the compassionate eyes that you can see. And you ask him for help. This is what you do even with the people with having power and money and fame, and also what you're doing is actually you are asking for help, or you are looking at them because you want them, trying to follow them to get that, to be happy. But now you have realized actually it's not these external things that really make you happy or peaceful, really make you a successful person, not them. Now you have understood it's this developing your own goodness and wisdom that makes you to be a successful person, to be a happy person, to be a peaceful person. And you are looking at the perfected, those qualities being perfected when you look at that image, Buddha. That's what should come to your mind. So when we bow down 3 times, this is what you're doing. You're bowing down to Buddha, and you can have that, when you do it, don't do it blindly. You do it with understanding. I'm bowing down to this hero, or this, the person who you can't even imagine what he has achieved. Because I think really people don't understand who Buddha is, what he has achieved. Because what you see so much is greed, hatred and delusion everywhere, into different levels. And for you all to even think and to know that someone managed to get rid of them, totally managed to eradicate them, I don't think it's in our level of kind of imagination. It's far beyond. So this is why when the retreat started, Bhante was trying to get you all to do the reflection on the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, to know who they are. What are the qualities in them? That's what you have to focus on. So when you bow down, do it with understanding. First, you pay respect to this great person who have achieved this great achievement that no other person has. And you humble yourself, put your ego down, and you can make that wish, may Buddha train me to find the peace and happiness that Buddha also found. May Buddha train me. And then second time when you pay respect, it's for the Dhamma, for the Buddha's teaching. That excellent teaching that shows you the path. And the minute you practice the Dhamma, it actually has an effect on you. It's sandittika, akalika. It has results. And more you practice, more deeper you can go. It's like getting into a mine. More deeper you go and dig, more precious things you get. Dhamma is also like that. So when you pay respect to the second time, you think about the Dhamma, its qualities, and all of them are in the Itipiso Gatava, and you're chanting about the qualities of the Buddha, qualities of the Dhamma, and the qualities of the Sangha. So second time when you're paying respect to, think about this Dhamma and have that wish, may Dhamma unfold in my heart. We know the Dhamma theoretically, but we are not there yet, we are not one with it yet. So have that aspiration, may the Dhamma unfold in my heart. And the third time when you're paying respect to the Sangha. And Sangha is the ones who are here now. You can't see the Buddha in a physical form, and Dhamma is also not in a physical form, but it's something that you hear. But the Sangha, you see them today. The Sangha, and we make the connection to those Sangha that was present even at Buddha's time. That this lineage started from Venerable Arahat Sariputta and from Moggallana. So to all that Sangha, you are paying respect to their achievement. After following the footsteps of the Buddha, they have managed to be one with the Dhamma. They have realized in themselves that eternal happiness, peace, and they have freed themselves from the suffering. So you are paying respect to those heroes who have done such a hard job in today's words. Something that's kind of even not impossible, it's possible, but the most difficult thing to do to get rid of these defilements. They have done it. And they were like you and me, but they managed to do it. So when you pay respect to them, think about their good qualities and then have that aspiration, may this Sangha guide me, help me and be my side, and may I also be able to realize this Dhamma and to attain Nibbana as soon as possible. So you are taking the refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, not for anything else on the world, to be free from suffering. So do it meaningfully, and that will help you day by day, day by day, day by day. In the forest tradition, actually when we come into the hall to meditate or into a Dhamma talk, the first thing you all do is you humble yourselves in front of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. So you bow down 3 times and pay respect. And you sit with a very humble kind of a nature, with an inspired mind. Every time we think of these 3 things, it will inspire your mind, it will lighten your mind, it will gladden your mind. And I'll read some of the suttas with the talks about what happens actually when you think of the qualities of the Buddha. What's happening to your mind? If you do it properly, with meaning. Not just reciting, but if you do it with meaning, what happens? So, this faith becomes a crucial factor in this path when you take up this higher training. See, before, to the normal people, when Buddha is teaching, Buddha actually tells them, don't even believe me. You go and find it for yourself. But when someone starts walking alone in this path, then this saddha becomes a very important factor and the most important factor, because without that you can't go anywhere. So he is telling now, you better know who you are following. You better have trust. You better see the qualities in me, the wisdom in me, and then get inspired to have that, develop that. See through me, that's the Dhamma. And then only you will want to actually follow it and develop it in you. It's like this, if you ever want to sit on this chair, you must have trust on that chair. If you didn't have trust, you shake it to this way, that way, and if you didn't trust, you will not sit on this chair. If you didn't believe or trust that it can hold you up there, you will not sit. Yeah? Innately when you are sitting on a chair, you are placing a lot of trust when you are sitting there. The minute you feel it's wobbly, it's not going to hold you, you will give up, you will get up. You will move away from it. So you must have the trust and faith in whatever you do. Then only you will stay with it. You have to have trust and faith. But whoever you are looking up to can meet up with your whatever your needs or whatever you are looking to. They should be able to satisfy that. Then only you will stay with them. If you don't have trust and faith that they can do it, they can satisfy your needs, you will not stick with them, yeah, in life. As long as you have trust and faith in your wife or husband, you will stay with them. The minute you lose the trust and faith about that person, what happens? Do you stay? Of course not. You move away. So this is why this becomes very important. This part actually binds you to this path, to liberation. The saddha. That's why it's the first one in that 5 powers. This is the first one to start using. When you have it, it's like a force. You can use it. And that's what's going to help you to tread on this path. So very important that you all establish your trust and faith on the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and learn to be humble in front of them. Learn to pay respects to people who have done so much to us. Even normally in our normal life, we pay respect, isn't it? There's even remembrance days to remember and pay respect to people who have maybe saved the nation. Maybe, they have made so many inventions or discoveries or whatever that has helped the humanity. So we pay respect to them. And not only that, we even sometimes uplift them from this normal human state and raise them to the level to be a saint. That's paying respect. Yeah? And one case that I know that it happened in our era is the Mother Teresa. See, we know about all these Christian saints, Saint John, Saint Paul, and whatever. And to a lot of the people, they are like saints or heavenly beings or gods or saints that they got no kind of connection, or they don't feel actually they were human beings before. But when it happens in our century, that someone actually who lived among us, after they died, they actually recognize that they had such goodness and wisdom in them that, it was higher than the normal people, above the average of these normal people. So they raised them to a sainthood, to pay respect, to honor them, to respect them. So Mother Teresa was one of them that I know that they have done it in this kind of a century. So, even those human beings actually had a lot of weaknesses. When you talk there about, or when you read about their life story, when you hear about their life story, you can see there have been defilements. Of course they have had more goodness and wisdom in them, but there have been defilements. But when we talk about Buddha, not a single trace of defilements you can find. So he has gone far beyond these human qualities, the human nature. Humans are full of weaknesses. So Buddha had gone far beyond that. And I'll read a sutta where actually Buddha talks about himself when someone asks a question from Buddha. For you all to know who Buddha is, it's also good to know what Buddha had to say about himself. There is this sutta in the book, in the Anguttara Nikaya, in the 4th chapter, that's the 23rd sutta, chapter of force. It's called the Tathagata. Monks, the world is fully understood by the Tathagata. The Tathagata is released from the world. The origin of the world is fully understood by the Tathagata. The origin of the world is abandoned by the Tathagata. The cessation of the world is fully understood by the Tathagata. The cessation of the world has been realized by the Tathagata. The path to the cessation of the world is fully understood by the Tathagata. The path to the cessation of the world has been developed by the Tathagata. Monks in the world with its devas. Devas means these angelic beings, heavenly beings. You can call the saints or heavenly beings. Mara and Brahma. In this generation, with its ascetics and Brahmins, devas and humans, whatever is seen, heard, sensed and cognized, attained, searched into, pondered over by the mind, all that is fully understood by the Tathagata. That is why he is called the Tathagata. Moreover, monks, whatever the Tathagata speaks, utters and proclaims from the day of his perfect enlightenment up to the day when he utterly passes away into the Nibbana element without residue left, all that is just so and not otherwise. Therefore he is called the Tathagata. Monks. And actually this is why, even just uttering a sutta, what Buddha has said, because it's so true, it's 100%. At the end, people make a wish from these truths, uttering by me, this Buddha's words. May this disease be overcome and may they be well. May the fears of these people, or my fear, be overcome by the power of these words. And they say, etena satcha vachena hotute jayamanganam. Or there's many parts that you can add on to, whatever that you wish. So you are saying, by the truth of these words that I just recited, may these overcome, may it bring good luck or whatever. You can use it like a, what do you call, satyagraha, just like, No, you can actually even think of a good quality of you, and if it's 100% truly what you're saying, then you can use that and wish that from this truth and from this power, may this be overcome, or may this person get healed, or whatever. What do you call that? Not mantra. It's like a not aspiration, not vow. There is a word for that. Yeah, you're declaring something true about you, 100%, and you use it as a power to manifest certain things. When I remember, I'll let you know that word. Invoke the blessings. Yes, it invokes the blessing, but this actual act that you're doing, in Sinhala it's called satyakriya. It's like your yeah, it's not that word. Let me find it out and tell you later. Anyway, so Buddha, yeah, it is like you're using the power of truth, and when you're using that power of truth, that act itself has a name. Just one word to that act. That's what I can't remember, but that comes very close, using the power of the truth. And then Buddha goes on to say, monks, as the Tathagata speaks, so he acts. As he acts, so he speaks. Therefore, he is called the Tathagata. Monks in the world, in the whole world, with its devas, Mara and Brahma, in this generation with its ascetics and Brahmins, devas and humans, the Tathagata is the conqueror, unconquered, one who sees at will, the wielder of power. Therefore, he is called the Tathagata. Now, they have summarized this in a nice way. By comprehending all the world, all in the world just as it is, from the world he is released, in all the world he clings to nothing. He is the all-victorious sage, the liberator from all bonds. By him the highest peace was won, Nibbana, that is free of fear. A taintless enlightened one, free from all woe, with doubt destroyed, has made an end to all karma, set free in the destruction of life's props. Exalted one, he is the Buddha, the lion without compare. For the divine and human worlds, he has set rolling the supreme wheel. Therefore, devas and human beings who go for refuge to the Buddha meet him full of reverence, the mighty one, free from self-doubt. Tamed of the tamed, he is the best. Calmed of the calm, he is the first. Freed of the free, he is the supreme. Crossed over, the best of those who cross. So saying, they pay him reverence. The mighty one, free from self-doubt. In all the worlds of devas and humans, there is none who ever equals you. And this actually describes who Buddha is. And then there is another story where a person actually comes and asks Buddha, who is Buddha? This sutta is on the same chapter, chapter 4, number 36, Dona the Brahmin. So this Brahmin was one day walking in the forest, and he saw these very unusual footprints. And from looking at the footprints, he knew they were not normal, and also he kind of saw it as a very auspicious kind of a thing, not just normal. So he wanted to find to whom that footprints belonged to. So he followed that path, and at the end he could see someone just sitting nicely and calmly. So he approached that person, and now that he don't know who is sitting there. So let's follow this. Then the Dona the Brahmin, following the Blessed One's footprints, saw him seated under a tree of pleasing appearance, inspiring confidence, with calm features and calm mind, in perfect composure and equipoise, controlled and restrained, like a well-trained bull elephant. Seeing the Blessed One, Dona approached him and said, "Will your reverence become a deva?" So he is asking, are you a deva? Are you an angelic person from heaven? Normally people would like to claim that, yes, I'm a deva, I'm from up above, from the heaven. But anyway, Buddha says, no Brahmin, I shall not become a deva. So he's saying, I'm not a deva. Then your reverence might become a Gandharva. Gandharva also another type of devas who lives close by to the earth. No Brahmin, I shall not become a Gandharva. I think here they are using the word become. They may have translated from that word that when he's asking, are you this? So Buddha is saying, no, I'm not that. Then will you reverence, are you a Yakha? Buddha says, no, I'm not. Then he is asking, are you a human being? No, Brahmin, I shall not become a human being. So Buddha is saying, no, I am not a human being. Then this person was very confused now, not knowing who this one is. He even asked, the word that they were using, the Mara, is as to Yaka here is as to ask that whether it's like a magician. Are you actually someone who is, creating something in front of my eyes? So are you like a magician? And then Buddha said even no to that. So he is now very confused as to who this person is. So then the Brahmin, he says, now when I ask whether your reverence will be this or that or whatever human being, you replied, I'm not. So then will you please tell me who you are? So then the Buddha starts, Brahmin, those taints whereby if they were not abandoned, I might become a deva. These taints are abandoned by me, cut off at the root, made barren like palm tree stumps, obliterated so that they are no more subject to arise in the future. So what Buddha is saying, even though people have high regard for these devas, angels, the heavenly beings, they still have taints or the defilements. So Buddha says, I don't have them, so I don't match either. They don't even match with me. I don't match with them. So that's the reason why I said I'm not one of them. For normal human beings, normally after the human beings, they look up to the devas or the angels, the heavenly beings, gods. They have high respect and high regard. They are the ones who they uphold very high, God. So Buddha is saying, no, I am not a god. Then he is saying to all the other questions he asked, also he says, no, I am not any of them because I don't have any stains. I have removed all of them. Just as Brahmin, a blue, red or white lotus, though born and grown in the water, rises up and stands unsoiled by the water. So Brahmin, though born and grown in this world, I have overcome the world and dwell unsoiled by the world. Consider me, O Brahmin, the Buddha. So the correct word for that description is the Buddha. There's no other way that you can describe him. So Buddha is pretty much saying, I've been like you, in the mud, but I have managed to come out from that mud and now unsoiled, not a single trace of all these weaknesses. Look at me. So that's Buddha's words explaining about who he is. So also there was another interesting one. Someone was praising the Buddha, and that's something interesting to see the qualities that they were kind of seen in the Buddha. This is on the chapter 5, Sutta number 194. It's called the Praising the Buddha. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Vaisali, in the great forest, in the hall with the picket roof. At that time, a Brahmin named Karanapali was engaged in supervising building work for the Lichavis. It was Lichavis who were in that state of Vaisali. You may have heard that, huh? He saw another Brahmin named Pingyani approaching in the distance and addressed him. Where are you coming from at high noon? I'm coming from the ascetic Gautama. Well, what do you think of the ascetic Gautama's accomplishments in wisdom? Do you think he's a wise man? Who am I, Honorable Sir, that I should comprehend the ascetic Gautama's accomplishment in wisdom? Certainly, Only one who equals him could comprehend it. It is very high praise indeed by which you exalted the ascetic Gautama. Who am I, Honorable Sir, that I should praise him? Master Gautama is praised by the praised as best among the devas and humans. But what has the Honorable Piyanjani noticed in the ascetic Gautama that he has such great faith in him? Just as a man who has found satisfaction in the choicest of tastes will not yearn for the other tastes of an inferior kind, so too, dear sir, one will no longer have a liking for the doctrines of those many other ascetics and Brahmins after one has listened to Master Gautama's Dhamma, be it discourses, mixed prose, expositions or marvelous accounts. Just as a man weakened by hunger who comes upon a honey cake, wherever he eats of it, he will enjoy a sweet, delicious taste. So too, dear sir, whatever one hears of Master Gautama's Dhamma, be it discourses, mixed prose, expositions or marvelous accounts, one will derive from it satisfaction and confidence in one's heart. Just as a man who comes upon a piece of yellow or red sandalwood, wherever he smells it, be it at the top, the middle or the lower end, will enjoy a fragrant, delicious scent. So too, dear sir, whatever one hears of Master Gautama's Dhamma, be it discourses, mixed prose, expositions or marvelous accounts, one will derive from it happiness and joy. Just as a capable physician might instantly cure a patient who is afflicted in pain and gravely ill, so too, dear sir, whatever one hears of the Master Gautama's Dhamma, be it discourses, mixed prose, expositions or marvelous accounts, one's sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair will vanish. Just as if there were a beautiful pond with a pleasant shore, its water clear, agreeable, cool, limpid, and a man came by, scorched and exhausted by the heat, fatigue, and thirsty, and he would step into the pond, bathe and drink, and thus all his affliction, fatigue, and freshness would be allayed. So too, dear sir, whenever one hears Master Gautama's Dhamma, be it discourses, mixed prose, expositions or marvelous accounts, all one's affliction, fatigue and feverish burnings are allayed. When Piyanjani had thus spoken, the Brahmin Karanapali rose from his seat, arranged his upper robe over the one shoulder, and placing his right knee on the ground, he extended his hands in reverential salutation towards the Blessed One and uttered 3 times these inspired words. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Arahat, the fully enlightened one. That's what it means when you are chanting Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa, means homage to him, the Blessed One, the Arahat, the fully enlightened one. So he said that 3 times. Excellent, Master Piyanjani, excellent, Master Piyanjani. It is just as if one were to set upright what was overturned, or to reveal what was hidden, or to point out the way to one gone astray, or to hold a lamp in the darkness so that those who have eyes might see forms. Even so has the Dhamma been set forth in various ways by Master Piyanjani. Now, Master Piyanjani, I go for refuge to the Master Gautama, to the Dhamma and to the Sangha and of monks. Let's Master Piyanjani accept me as a lay follower who has gone for refuge from today until life's end. So you can see the qualities in the Buddha, these qualities in the Dhamma. And this is why during the Buddha's time, so many ascetics and so many Brahmins, so many people who were believing other things, if they come in contact with the Dhamma, and if they had a humble mind or humble heart, where they could put their conceit down and listen to the Dhamma, it had an effect, if you had an open mind. And also there is another good one, that Buddha is, maybe I won't go much detail into about the Buddha. I guess now you have an idea about who Buddha is, at least. He's not someone actually who we can compare or who we can even think about that his achievement. So that's why you all have to ponder on it. That's why the first 2 days were given to you to do the Buddhanusati, Dhammanusati and the Sanghanusati, to comprehend, but it's not something that's easy. If you did that, your Saddha would have been established, if you did it properly. But it looks like maybe not, so that's why I have to come back to it again to talk about this. Anyway, so when it comes to faith, now Buddha gives another discourse about faith. And this is about the best kinds of faith in chapter 4, Sutta 34. Monks, there are 4 best kinds of faith. What 4? Monks, among all living beings, be they footless or 2-footed, with 4 feet or many feet, with form or formless, percipient or non-percipient, or neither percipient nor non-percipient, the Tathagata, the Arahant, the fully enlightened one, is reckoned the best of them all. Those who have faith in the Buddha have faith in the best, and for those who have faith in the best results will be theirs. That's very important for you to understand what I was telling you before. So if you have the faith in the best results will be theirs, or it will be yours. Monks, among things conditioned, the Noble Eightfold Path is recognized as the best of them all. Those who have faith in the Noble Eightfold Path have faith in the best, and for those who have faith in the best result will be theirs. Monks, among things conditioned and unconditioned, dispassion is reckoned the best of them all. The crushing of all infatuation, the removal of thirst, the uprooting of attachment, the cutting off the round of rebirth, the destruction of craving, dispassion, nibbana. Those who have faith in the Dhamma of dispassion have faith in the best, and for those who have faith in the best result will be theirs. Monks, among all religions, religious orders or communities, the Sangha of the Tathagata's disciples is reckoned the best. That is to say, the 4 pairs of noble persons, the 8 noble individuals. This Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of reverential salutation, and an unsurpassed field of merit for the world. Those who have faith in the Sangha have faith in the best, and for those who have faith in the best result will be theirs. These, O monks, are the 4 best kind of faith. So you can see when you have faith in these things that you get attracted to them, you follow them, you stay with them. If you didn't have faith, we won't be near this, or we won't be staying with them. So that's what Buddha was talking about, the faith. And there's a very interesting sutta, sutta number in chapter 6, sutta number 10, it's called How a Noble One Dwells. That's a very interesting sutta. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Kapilavatthu in the Banyan Tree Monastery. Then Mahanama the Sakyan approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, and sat down to one side. So seated, he said to the Blessed One, Lord, in what way does a noble disciple often dwell when he has arrived at the fruit and understood the teaching? So this is talking about the people who are on the Noble Eightfold Path. He's asking specifically, he wants to know how these noble disciples dwell, who have arrived at the fruit, so at least he or she is a Sotapanna, that who have understood the teaching. And Buddha says, when Mahanama, a noble disciple, has arrived at the fruit and understood the teaching, he often dwells in such a way as this. Here, a noble disciple recollects the Tathagata thus: the Blessed One is an Arahat. Fully enlightened, accomplished in true knowledge and conduct, sublime, knower of the world, unsurpassed leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans, the enlightened one, the Blessed One. When a noble disciple recollects the Tathagata thus, on that occasion his mind is not obsessed by lust, hatred or delusion. His mind is straight with the Tathagata as its object. A noble disciple whose mind is straight gains the inspiration of the meaning. This is a very important part for you to understand. What it does to you all when you think of the Buddha, even if you are not an Aryan. What it does? Your mind will not get obsessed by lust, hatred or delusion. That means the mind is straight when you have the Tathagata as the object. A noble disciple whose mind is straight gains the inspiration of the meaning. The inspiration of the Dhamma, gains gladness connected with the Dhamma. When he is gladdened, rapture arises. For one uplifted by rapture, the body becomes calm. One calm in the body feels happy. For one who is happy, the mind becomes focused and tranquil. This is called a noble disciple who dwells evenly amidst an uneven generation, who dwells unafflicted amidst an afflicted generation, who has entered upon the stream of the Dhamma and develops recollection of the Buddha. Further, Mahanama, a noble disciple recollects the Dhamma thus: the Dhamma is well expounded by the Blessed One, directly visible, immediate, inviting one to come and see, worthy of application, to be personally experienced by the wise. This is what you chant in that Itiviso chanting. When a noble disciple recollects the Dhamma thus, on that occasion his mind is not obsessed by lust, hatred or delusion. His mind is straight with the Dhamma as its object. This is called a noble disciple who dwells evenly amidst an uneven generation, who dwells unafflicted amidst an afflicted generation, who has entered upon the stream of the Dhamma and develops recollection of the Dhamma. Further, Mahanama, a noble disciple recollects the Sangha thus: the Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is practicing the good way, practicing the straight way, practicing the true way, practicing the proper way. That is the 4 pairs of persons, the 8 types of individuals. This Sangha of the Blessed One's disciples is worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of reverential salutation, unsurpassed field of merits for the world. When a noble disciple recollects the Sangha thus, on that occasion his mind is not obsessed by lust, hatred or delusion. His mind is straight with the Sangha as its object. So he goes on to say, there is some other factors also they recollect, but this is what even the noble ones actually most of the time that they recollect and dwell on. So this is why it's very important for you to understand why you must actually recollect the qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, because it has an effect on you. It works on you in your mind even without you knowing. It inspires you. And it helps you to kind of develop those things because that's your ideal. And like Buddha is saying, it helps you all to settle down, calm down, because then the 5 hindrances are not going to be there while you're doing this. And it helps you all to get into the samadhi. So he is actually explaining the way to samadhi. You have rapture, then your body feels comfortable, then your mind is so happy. You get into samadhi. So this Anussati Bhavana, this Buddha Dhamma Sangha, you're reflecting on the Buddha Dhamma Sangha also actually takes you to the samadhis. So don't underestimate them too. And this is Buddha's words. So I think I probably shared enough of the importance of the faith and you knowing about who Buddha is, what Dhamma is, what Sangha is, and being able to have that humbleness towards them, and being able to appreciate that qualities and being able to honor them and respect them. It's not that they need it, it's for you to help you all. Yes?
The word you were looking for, is it wow?
No. I'll it's in my mind, I'll go and find it out. It's called the act of, sometimes some people go into this thing, they don't eat, they don't drink, and until they get whatever they are demanding. What do you call that? Huh? No. Yeah, they do fast, not just for no reason or for their sake, but it's for the good of the many, and either they are asking the political leaders.
Activists.
It's not a normal act. It is an act. I'm looking for that particular.
Inspiration.
What is that?
Inspiration.
No. It's a kind of a strike, but there is a word for it. In Sinhalese they call upavasa. But in similar way, there's a specific word for that too. You using this power of truth.
That's something by the power of this truth.
So that act, what I'm asking, the word what I'm looking for is to describe that act. Using the power of the truth, you're trying to do something. So there is a specific word. Never mind. If I remember, I'll let you know. I'll try to find it out.
Okay.
Yes.
Can I make this perfectly clear now?
Yes.
I think you have explained very clearly Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Maybe you like to throw some light on this.
yourself. So,
what?
what you have to do is recollect about the qualities in you. So now you have Buddha. You have to have a triangle. On the top corner you have Buddha. Now you know the ideal. You know the perfected qualities. You know what you want. You put one in one end. You put yourself, and in the other end you put the world, the others. So now you can see. Let's take for example, you take instance that you have to face with something that someone is actually blaming you or shouting at you or falsely accusing you. Let's take that one, falsely accusing you. So you're so innocent, huh? So let's see, if this happens to Buddha, how would he respond to that? If it happened to you, how would you respond to that? If it happened to another person, how would they respond? You will see two reactions and one response. Yeah, the world will react with anger and saying, why you want to put this false accusation on me, I'm so innocent, and then he will say, I'll show you who am I, and they will start. It will lead with anger and revenge and all this type of things, yeah? So with you, if you have developed the qualities following the Dhamma, then you can say you may not be versed to that extent, how the others would react, who got no understanding or the knowledge of the Dhamma. But you can see where you can plot yourself from that corner to where the Buddha is. Now you can see how Buddha would respond to that. And you know, in his life, there were times where, there was this lady who came to Buddha with this pregnant appearance, that she was like a pregnant lady, and Buddha was actually teaching the Dhamma to a congregation, to many people. She just came and she started shouting. She started saying, well, it's very good for you to teach the Dhamma to the others, but look, here I am. I'm getting ready to give the birth to your child, and you're not even taking care of me, and you're not doing anything about it. Would you mind to actually please ask maybe your best disciple, Visakha? I'm sure she can arrange something for me to deliver your baby. So can you imagine, in front of so many people, she coming and accusing this holy person that people think actually, and who knows, and we know that Buddha is holy. But someone who didn't have so much saddha or the faith, you think their mind will not get waved by this accusation? Of course they will. And there were so many people actually walked off from the congregation thinking, that's a nice hypocrite. You teach us to be good and this and that, and look what you have done. The results are there. She's talking. So a lot of people started walking off. So the people who knew actually who Buddha is, they just stayed there, maybe wondering actually what has happened, or I don't know what was going on in their mind. But I'm sure everyone would have had a bit of a turmoil going in their head, not knowing what's going on. And then Buddha calmly said to her sister, it's only you and me who actually knew whatever happened, whether anything happened or not. It's only between you and me. And he didn't tell his people. Like today, people will call their thugs or their friends and say, can you please look after her for me? Because they are giving a hard time. They are trying to destroy what I'm doing. And you know all that, yeah? Now today in Sri Lanka, if something like that happened to a politician, the next, you can't find that person alive. Straight away, pretty much. That's how it is. And these days, what's happening in Sri Lanka, with the journalist. You write something about the president or the government or anything that's going on, the person is gone to heaven. No longer being able to use that pen. This is how people work. This is why I'm saying you must put yourself and the others in the other corner to see how people actually react to these situations. But Buddha, take no notice of it. He didn't tell anyone to fix her. No, he did shout at her or get angry and shout at her and said, don't come and do these false accusations and blah blah blah, and didn't try to chase her. Didn't say, all he said was only you and me who knows about what happened between you and me, and that was it. And he just ignored. But what happened then, she started shouting and screaming and making a scene. And then finally Sakka, one of the most powerful gods, or a heavenly being. These all gods starts with simple G, not capital G-O-D. This Sakka came down from heaven to the earth, seeing that the damage that it was going to do, or the damage that it can do, because if a lot of people believe in that, that's going to affect a lot to the ministry of the Sasana, ministry of the Buddha, the Sasana, because this is a huge accusation, not a small one. What happened even to the presidents, in the past, the accusations coming from this angle, they take a very heavy toll on what you do and the trust of the people and everything. So what happens, Sakka seeing what's going on in the people's mind, and he actually came down and he knew what was going on. So all he wanted to do is show the people that this was a setup. And he actually took the form of a mouse, and then went up this lady's legs, and apparently what was in the stomach was like the actresses, when they want to show that they are pregnant, you put some pillows and do it. At that time they actually had some sticks, wood sticks, piled up and tied to her stomach to make it look like she was pregnant. And so he actually went and cut off these strings that was holding the wood sticks. So all these sticks started falling down, coming out with the noise. So everyone looked at, and they were like, oh, what happened? So then she was so ashamed, and now that it got revealed, she couldn't face the world, and she ran away. And there was a pond actually nearby in that Jetavana monastery complex out there. And it says, I don't know whether she went and jumped to suicide, or it says that she couldn't see it, or she was very, not so conscious. When you're actually affected with so much shame and all that, I guess you don't know what you're doing, you're so unconsciously running, that she went to it, and actually the earth opened up and she went to hell, it says. She got drowned and probably she died there. And it says she went to hell after dying for that act. It's such a heavy karma to accuse a noble one, especially Buddha. So this is one of the things you all must know when you associate with the monks and the nuns. You all must be very careful about talking about them. Especially you don't know who they are, and if they happen to be a noble one, walking on the Noble Eightfold Path, your criticism, your whatever will have a very heavy toll on you. It's like you touching a high tension wire. Pretty much sometimes it's immediate, apparent, here and now, and it blocks your path because of the heavy akusala karma. So you all must be very careful when you associate with the monks and the nuns. It's best not to criticize, even though you see whatever. If you have a real problem, you talk to that person and tell, I'm so sorry, Bhante or sister, that whatever you do or say or whatever is affecting me, is there any reason or like that? You can ask, and if you think there is something wrong, you can talk to them and then sort it out there, and then not spread rumors or do this and that. If it brings damage, it's bringing damage to the sasana, not just to one particular person. This is what people don't see, and this happens a lot in many in Sri Lankan society, because they are so ignorant. The society actually that's so ignorant of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, even though they being like the guardians of this sasana for a long time, but they themselves haven't really seen the Dhamma, many of them, and also they got no restraint. And I have seen actually how this heavy karma brings the fruit, and it affects them even here and now. So you all must be very, very careful. This is why Buddha says all the time, even when you are doing an offering, or even when you are seeing at a Sangha, don't take this individual as an individual person. You see them as a whole Sangha. You put them in that lineage, in that train that's running for 2,500 years. There are only one person in there, but you look at the whole people, the whole lot. The Sangha is the community. And whatever you do with the community. So know that if you are criticizing one person, also you are criticizing the whole, actually, the Sangha, and it's damaging the sasana. So the weight is very, very big. And this is lay people, something they do. This is a mistake that they do. And as long as you know these things, you all can prevent from this unwholesome talking. And that will help you to progress in your path. Because once I had to deal with a situation in a retreat in here. There have been some unwholesome talk going behind the back of Bhante Punaji, and then some even got affected. They were crying and this and that. So I had to find the cause, and finally I found it's something that someone has said something, and then that person came and they were not keeping the noble silence. So they were talking to the others in the room, dormitory, and talking behind the back. And so none of them even could hear what Bhante is teaching, because there are so many other feelings are going inside. So, and their meditation wasn't going well. And that time in that retreat also I was doing the interviews. So I found out what was going on, because they couldn't establish their mindfulness. So I was trying to work backwards. What happened? Why it's not happening? Like today I went to this, because I can see some of you all don't have saddha, and that's one of the reasons. And that day I had to go back, and it was a sealer. If you're not keeping the sealer, also it has an effect. If you're not restraining your word and actions. So then I found that they've been talking, and what they have been talking is this particular topic about the Sangha. And it had a big effect on them. But after I talked to them and cleared them out, they were okay. Their meditation started to pick up. And ever since then, that's why I actually stress on noble silence, so you don't get this kind of problems in here. Otherwise, it's an additional problem that comes, and it's a pity that people come even from overseas. That time, how I knew about it is there were two people actually had come from Australia for this retreat. One is my assistant secretary and someone else from there. So their practice was getting affected, and that's when they opened up and honestly started talking, and that's how I knew what was going on among them. And then I managed to kind of pinpoint where the problem was happening and could settle it. And I saw the people who have been talking and creating these kind of things, how they actually suffer. You may not be able to connect what you're doing and how you're feeling, but people who know this Dhamma, who has enough knowledge, they can see what's the cause for their suffering. So you all must be very, very careful. It's called Arya Upamada. Buddha says, if you criticize, if you say wrong things, bad things about especially these noble beings, it has a heavy effect. And in any Sangha it will have an effect, because it affects the whole Sangha community. So if you have a lot of, that's another thing, that when you are practicing, if you have a lot of blockages in you and you feel you can't move forward, there's something that's holding you back, or something is not going right. It could be some akusala karma that you have done in the past. And So this is why we always have this ceremony called asking for forgiveness from the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. At least if you have reflected or realized that you have done something wrong, ask for the forgiveness. So at least your heart is clear. And it's a good habit to get into. And normally, because it has to come from you all, normally the lay disciples, when you finish a program or finish the day or even after the program, if they know this, they normally ask for forgiveness from the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. Yeah?
Can you teach us how to phrase those words?
I'm not too sure whether it's in the book. I will bring actually a book of chanting and it's in there. And I was actually thinking of doing some chanting this evening, maybe around 6, to contemplate on few things. So every day when you contemplate on some important things, it has an effect on you. Yeah? And then you all can, I'm sure in that book it's there too. You have chanted it many times. I think Kayena Vacha Chittena Pamadena Maya Katang Achan Kamane Bante Achan Kamane Dhamma, like that. You ask for the forgiveness. So it's good to always do it. When I practiced, when I was a layperson also, even now, when I practice, before we practice, we even ask for forgiveness. So it actually helps to clear out. And you being very humble. Yes? Yes, yes. Yeah. So be very, very, very careful. Buddha says, the monks and the nuns or the Sangha is like poison. That same poison, if you take it in the right dose, can cure you from the illnesses that no other thing can cure. But if you take it in the wrong way, that can actually be something that even brings your death. And Buddha says it's like fire. If you know how to use the fire, it's very useful. It's very good. You can't live without it. But if you don't know how to use it, then itself has the power to burn you, to bring suffering. So Buddha says Sangha is like fire. So you must know. The problem is not with the fire. You must know how to use it, in what dose, how. So that's something for you all to keep in mind. If ever you hear about all these things going about the Sangha here or there or wherever in the other side of the world, make sure you don't get engaged. Make sure you tell them what you're doing also, something that's bringing a lot of akusala karma. Just remind them, you move out. If you can clear it out, you help them to clear it out. If not, make sure you don't engage in that kind of talking. Yeah? Yes? Yeah, no. That's why I actually haven't been encouraging people to chant in Pali, because without knowing the meaning it won't have much effect. But now we do have a book with word by word that we have translated it into English. So I will bring those books, and it's not going to be much chanting. It's about you reflecting your own nature. Buddha always says there's 5 things to reflect daily for the monks. And it's not a big deal, but it becomes a big deal when you're practicing, because this will help you all to develop your practice. Oh, I lost it. 5 things for the pride. Just wait. See here, this pride you have. So this is something naturally we hold, or naturally it's in us. So it's good to remind ourselves about the true nature. So I'll read you about this sutta. It's called the Threefold Pride in chapter 3, sutta number 38. I was delicately brought up, Buddha is saying. O monks, highly delicate, exceedingly delicate was my upbringing. He was a prince. At my father's house, lotus ponds were made. In one of them, blue lotuses bloomed. In another, white lotuses. And in a third, red lotuses. Just for my enjoyment, I used only sandal. Sandal from Benares, and my headdress, my jacket, my undergarment and my tunic were made of Benares muslin. They were the best at that time. These were the best kind of things you can get in that category. By day and by night, a white canopy was held over me. Least cold and heat, dust or dew should trouble me. I had 3 palaces, not just one house, 3 palaces. One for the summer, one for the winter, and one for the rainy season. In the palace for the rainy season, during the 4 months of the rains, I was waited upon by female musicians only, and I did not come down from the palace during those months. While in other people's homes, servants and slaves receive a meal of broken rice together with sour gruel, in my father's house they were given choice rice and meat. So that was the highest kind of a meat you can, give it to a servant. Amidst such splendor and an entirely carefree life, O monks, this thought come to me. An uninstructed worldling, though sure to become old himself and unable to escape aging, feels repelled, humiliated, and disgust when seeing an old and decrepit person, being for escape aging. If, when seeing an old and decrepit person, I were to feel repelled, humiliated, or disgusted, that would not be proper for one like myself. When I reflected this, monks, all my pride in youthfulness vanished. Again I reflected, an uninstructed worldling, though sure to become ill himself and unable to escape illness, feels repelled, humiliated, or disgusted when seeing a sick person, being forgetful of his own situation. Now I too am sure to become ill and cannot escape illness. If, when seeking a sick person, I were to feel repelled, humiliated, or disgusted, that would not be proper for one like myself. When I thus reflected, monks, all my pride in the health vanished. Again I reflected, an uninstructed worldling is sure to die himself and cannot escape death. Yet when seeing a dead person, he feels repelled, humiliated, or disgusted, being forgetful of his own situation. Now I too am sure to die and cannot escape death. If, when seeing a dead person, I were to feel repelled, humiliated, or disgusted, that would not be proper for one like myself. When I just reflected, monks, all my pride in life vanished. So we do have kind of chanting that actually reminds us of these. I'm also in the nature to get old, I haven't gone beyond. I'm in the nature to get sick, I haven't gone beyond. I'm in the nature to die, I haven't gone beyond. All that is near and dear to me will separate from me one day. And karma is my support, my next of kin, and like that. There is a couple of the things actually it's good for you all to reflect every day, and it will have effect. So I was thinking maybe around 6 o'clock. You meditate after dana, come here, and then you do your sitting, walking like yesterday. With no break. The only break you take is also, you focusing on your breath and walking with the breath and making cup of tea, or going to the toilet. If you want, you can even have just to rest, lie down, but you are staying with your breath. No relaxing in a sense that wandering into your own worlds. To stay with 5 hindrances, no. You're going to be focused in the practice. So I will also come after lunch sometime, so I'll see how you're doing, and we'll take it from there. And also when I come, I don't think I have to go through the interview list like I did before, but anyone who has anything to ask, maybe just come and sit there and do it. Maybe we'll start doing it from 3 o'clock. But straight after lunch, from that onwards, you can come and practice. You have to build up your mindfulness. And you can reflect on what I have been saying this morning. And go back to your anapanasati. And if you have any problems actually with the samvara and prahana, which I don't think you didn't have any questions last night about samvara prahana, so I thought you understood. But if you have any, you can read this blue book. It's in there. And the anapanasati, how to do it, also there. But I have taught you all that. Okay, so now it's time actually for you all to go for lunch, unfortunately. So may you all have a good meditation, and may you all success in your meditation, and may you all be able to free yourselves from suffering as soon as possible.